I don't really know what to do with myself after that game. The Blue Jackets win the 5-on-5 battle. They win the special teams battle. They win the goaltending battle. They win the goal scoring battle. Game of the season, by far. Let's talk about that on today's Locked On Blue Jackets.
You're Locked On Blue Jackets, your daily podcast on the Columbus Blue Jackets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Blue Jackets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am, as always, your host, Jay Foster, here to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly about your favorite team and mine, the Columbus Blue Jackets. And we're going to be talking a lot of good today, which is really exciting. Before we get started, I want to thank everyone for making this your first listen of the day every single day, even though it is almost 11 p.m. Maybe it is your first listen. I don't know. But regardless, thank you for being here. Thank you for coming to hang out. I do also have to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. So I imagine there'll be a handful of everydayers coming to float around with this live show. I believe the first-ish live show of the season. So I'll just remind everyone what we do here is the first couple of segments is just going to be me talking about the game, the things I liked, the things I didn't like, etc., getting really excited about Denton Mateychuk, you know the drill. And then because I'm very stupid and can only do one thing at once, and unfortunately that one thing has to be talking, the third segment, it will do a little bit of like a Q&A or like interacting with comments, things like that. So if you have comments, if you have questions, etc., throw them into the chat and I will get to them in the third segment. So I promise I'm not ignoring you. I just can't read the chat and talk at the same time because I only have like 3.5 brain cells. I got hit in the head a lot when I played hockey. So let's talk about the game, because that was unexpected. I think is probably the best way to put that. Like I think I predicted what was a 2-1 win. I thought they would play fine, but that to me was, I think, the best game that I've seen them play. I got a little hairy in the second period, got a little hairy at the end there, right? Like the opening of the third period was a little bit like, I think I tweeted that I would like to see just literally any shots on Jake Oettinger, but a 5-1 win in Dallas, you can't really complain. I talked yesterday a lot about how, despite the fact that this team is only, I think, 2-3, or 3-2 is Dallas, like, you can't write them off. They're a really, really good team, and I stand by that. They were a really, really good team, and I think the Blue Jackets bent but didn't break in this game, which is kind of key, right? Like, the guys that you needed to be good were good. I would have liked a little bit more shot suppression and a little bit more shot generation from the guys, but like at the end of the day, 5 goals on 29 shots is great in terms of offense. 1 goal against on 23 shots. Like, you can't fault the goal scoring, you can't fault the goaltending for the Blue Jackets. Like, again, we'll talk about special teams in a second here, but like 2 power play goals for and 0 against. Like, this was kind of a perfect game. And I'm sure that Elvis is bummed about that 1 goal that snuck by him, but it happens, right? And he continues his run of really, really strong play. I talked a lot in either yesterday's or the day before's episode about like Jet Greaves and how good he's been to start this season, right? And how Elvis has, and that was the story throughout all of preseason, right? Was Elvis is going to have to keep up with Jet, because we know that Jet is good and we know that Elvis can be good, but it's still very early in the season. But this was the third really solid game from Elvis. Again, I think this was his best game by far. A .957 save percentage, 1 goal on 23 shots, and some, again, genuinely excellent saves from Elvis, where I had kind of, how sometimes you're watching a game and you just kind of make your peace with the fact that a goal is going to happen. There was a couple of moments in that game, and neither of them turned into goals because Elvis made the save. Like, just a really, really great night from Elvis. I don't think he needed to be flashy all the time. He was just extremely, extremely solid in a way that the team needed him to, and he got run support from the team as well. Like, again, 5 goals, which is not their season high. Obviously, they scored 7 against Minnesota, but, goals from Adam Fantilli, goals from Boone Jenner, Denton Matejchuk's first of the season. Kent Johnson gets an empty netter. We know empty netters don't count on this podcast, except for when Kent Johnson scores them, they do. Just a really stupid goal from Dmitry Voronkov that like had no business going in. This was kind of the dream PDO game, right? Like they won the goal scoring battle, they won the goaltending battle, they won the special teams battle, they outscored them at 5-on-5. Like again, I keep going back to just how good this game was, and I know that it's like the sixth game of the season, right? And I know that saying that the best game out of 6 games is like not necessarily a particularly high bar, but I think that after the game on Saturday against the Lightning, there was a lot of questions about like, okay, great, they won this one game, they looked pretty good doing it. Can they do it again back to back, right? Can they do this again, or will we see another case of, well, they were really good in one game and then they kind of stumbled in the next game? And we saw a lot last season of the Blue Jackets playing one good game and then stumbling, and then playing 2 good games and then stumbling, and then playing one good, like over and over and over. So again, playing 2 good games back to back is not, I'm not willing, I'm not going to sit here and say that this team is winning the cup, right? But there was a lot of, and myself included, there was a lot of disheartened people after their efforts in or against Colorado on, was it Thursday night, I think, was the Colorado game, and to come out and do the Lightning game and then this game back to back, I think is really, really good. Really kind of makes me optimistic, right? There were things I didn't love in the game, obviously. I'm going to, I'm not going to sit here and say that everything was perfect. I do think this was a really good game, but I thought the Sillinger penalty was stupid and unnecessary. I didn't love the Provorov penalty either, although I did enjoy seeing a Provorov-less penalty kill. Which was shockingly good. Again, the penalty kill was great. I believe they only killed 2 penalties total, but like, frankly, at this point, I'll take it, right? I'm celebrating every successful penalty kill at this point until they crawl out of the literal basement of the league. But like, there was lots to like. In terms of like, again, players that I didn't love, or let's say players that I want to see more from, right? I am getting a little bit disheartened, feels the wrong word, but I want to see more from Cole Sillinger, right? I thought he was fine in this game, but I didn't think he was great, right? Like he kind of did his job, and that was it. Didn't love the penalty that he took. He's not creating a lot. He's giving up more offense than he's creating, right? Like, and again, this was a mostly pretty strong game for a lot of players. They didn't create as much offense as I necessarily wanted them to, but they didn't give up much either. That was I think the key here is that despite the fact that they scored a lot of goals, they didn't really generate a lot of offense. So like their expected goals for is not as high as I thought it would be. So their expected goals for was they were only supposed to score 1.7 goals in this game, and they ended up scoring 5, right? So like they really outscored their offense generation at the minute. And the Stars were supposed to score, they had a goals expected of 2.07. So they scored a goal less than they were expected to. So again, a combination of good goaltending and good goal scoring, that maybe the underlying stats did not super agree with. But for the most part, like I said, I'm pretty happy with how a lot of guys played. And at the end of the day, it's a 5-1 win, right? I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, well, this was bad and this was bad and this was bad. And I know that I just singled out Cole Sillinger for one, but like, I want more from him because I know that he can give us more, right? And if I'm sitting here being like, well, this one player wasn't as good as he could have been in this game, then that feels like a pretty good game, right? So let's take a quick break, and then when we get back, I want to talk about the specific things I did like, and we're actually going to talk about special teams in the section of the things that I liked about this game. I think for the first time in this entire season. So we'll do that in just a second here on Locked On Blue Jackets. First, I'm going to tell you about Monarch. Let's be honest, most of us can't name all our financial accounts, let alone what they're worth. Between 401k, savings, investment, it's easy to lose track, and that can mean leaving money on the table. And that's why I started using Monarch. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. It's helped me organize my accounts, track my spending, get a better handle on my investments without having to touch a spreadsheet. And I love that I can do it with my wife as well. Like, we can see our shared goals, we can make financial decisions together instead of having to sit down and compare bank accounts and spreadsheets. And, they have a bunch of tools that just make it really, really easy to understand where my money's going and where our money is going as well. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarch.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarch.com, code LOCKEDONNHL for 50% off your first year. I've also got to tell you about Rugia. Let's be real. Making excuses doesn't solve anything. We've heard them all before. Stress, I'm tired, it happens to everyone. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support. And that's where Rugia comes in. Rugia.com offers fast-acting, doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. It's super easy to get started. All you do is connect online with a board-certified doctor. There's no awkward waiting rooms. There's no in-person appointments that makes you want to peel your own skin off, right? And if it's prescribed, your treatment ships directly to your door in discreet packaging. The process is fast, simple, private, and it's all handled by real doctors. So visit Rugiet.com/LockedOnNHL to get 15% off your order. That's RUGIET.com/LockedOnNHL. Don't forget to use our code LockedOnNHL so they know we sent you. Rugiet, stop making excuses and start making moments. Welcome back to Locked On NHL. Nope, Locked On Blue Jackets. That's who we are. It's very late here. We're going to talk a little bit more about the things that I liked in this game because there was a whole bunch of them. I noticed that there are some comments building up. So if you're new and you missed my little disclaimer at the start, what we're going to do is I'm going to talk for a little bit longer. And then the third segment of the show is going to be the bit where I read the chat because I have 3.5 brain cells and I can only do one thing at once. And unfortunately, that thing is talk and not read chat. So I'm going to keep talking for a little bit longer and then we'll jump into the comments. If you have questions or things to say about the game, throw them in there and we'll get to them probably in about 9 or so minutes time. So before that though, shout out special teams, right? I got really excited about how stupid Dmitry Voronkov's goal was that I forgot that they were on the power play because I was just like, yeah, they don't score on the power play. This is a really exciting goal. What do we do now, right? And they were great on the power play, like super. Efficient is not necessarily a word. It took them 1:31 to score their first power play goal. That was the Jenna goal that I think every Dallas Stars fan should be furious about because to me that was a kicking motion. And I don't know if it wasn't reviewable. I don't know if they decided not to challenge it. I don't know if it was a league decision or a team decision or what, but I'm really happy that they didn't challenge it. I think it absolutely was a distinct kicking motion, but that's just me. And frankly, after the luck that the Blue Jackets have had in the past, 4 or 5 games in terms of having goals called back, I feel like it's about time that we got one that went in our favor, right? Second power play, much better. They scored 41 seconds in. It was their only shot attempt and shot of the power play. And again, just a really stupid low danger shot. Like it was 8% of a goal. In terms of likelihood, like that goal is scored 8% of the time, essentially, which again is just so stupid. And like, I love that Dmitry Voronkov has just keeps scoring these extremely funny goals, but like, no, wait, that goal absolutely should not have counted. So again, some really good power play luck for the Blue Jackets. But in 2 minutes 12 of power play time in total, they had 5 shot attempts. And 3 of those were converted to shots. 3 of them were scoring chances. So, like, you can't really complain about that. Again, you go 2 for 2 on the power play, but, like, again, the power play looked a lot better in this game. And partially, I think that's probably because it looks good when it's scoring, right? And there's a lot of, well, that power play looks really good, even if they didn't put the puck in the net. That gets really frustrating, and I get really tired of those kind of like mini moral victories of, well, it looked really good, even if nothing happened on it. But I think I don't know that this is them turning a corner necessarily, because I've been a Blue Jackets fan for a long time, and I'm not going to sit here and say that one solid game of power play is suddenly going to turn the power play around and it's going to be 100%. You know, they're going to score on every single power play for the rest of forever. But it's a good sign, right? The power play, I think, was on a streak of 9 failed attempts. So we love to see them go. We love to see them score back to back on the power play. But like, honestly, more exciting for me was the penalty kill. It got a little dicey. There were a lot of shots on goal on these penalty kills. So of the 4 minutes that they won the penalty kill total, they allowed 5 shots and 9 scoring chances, which is too many in my opinion. But again, some great goaltending. And the penalty kill was never going to sit at a 50% clip for the entire season, right? It was always going to start to regress, and I think this is a really good sign for that. Regression always sounds negative, and I can't think of what the word is for like regression, but in a positive way. But it's going to move back to the middle, right? It's not going to be this miserably bad. And again, I think this was a really good sign. Like, that was one of my goals for this game. I think I tweeted that out like before the game, was like, please just make the penalty kill look competent. And there was some adventures, but for the most part, I thought the penalty kill looked pretty competent, which again, I'm not mad about, right? Like, again, I'm sitting here being like, well, they allowed too many shots on the penalty kill, and that's bad. Like, enjoy it, idiot. I'm the idiot in this. But again, like the 5-on-5 play was never in question for me, I don't think. Great to see it. There was I think 2 5-on-5 goals, and then the empty netter, and then the power play goals. So at 5-on-5, they've really only outscored the Stars 2-1. But between that and winning the special teams and winning the goaltending and the empty net goal at the end, like, it's really, really easy to look at this and be like, yeah, this was a great game, right? I want to give a quick shout out to, in terms of, this has been a real kind of roller coaster for me anyway, is the Provorov-Severson pairing either has excellent games or dismal games. And this was a really great game. They both led the team in shot attempt share. They led the team in expected goals for percentage. They were both on the ice for a goal. I don't believe they had any actual points like on the score sheet. I don't have the thing up. Severson had a secondary assist. So just 1 point for Severson and nothing for Ivan Provorov, but I thought they were really, really strong. And again, it's really frustrating to watch them like yo-yo wildly between great game, terrible game, great game, terrible game. But credit where it's due, this was a really, 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 really great game for them. Beyond Provorov's stupid penalty that I really could have done without. So, you know, again, not a lot to complain about. I do want to give a shout out again before I move on, and we'll do the like Q&A interacting with the chat portion of this episode. It's incredible what happens when you put skilled players together. Like, that top line continues to cook. Fantilli and Johnson, I don't know why they were ever separated. I mean, I do. It's because they wanted to try and put Johnson with Coyle, and they wanted to reward Sillinger for having a strong preseason. You should have those two should be glued together. Again, that line of Fantilli, Jenna, and Johnson was excellent all night. I really like that line. Ken Johnson was the best forward in terms of like shot attempt share. Was on the ice for 12 shot attempts for and 7 against for 63%, which is again the best of any Blue Jackets forward. The only players that were better than him were Severson and Provorov. So again, amazing what happens when you put a skilled player in the top 6, right? But I wanted to shout out, yeah, the top 6 is really clicking. The bottom 6 looks good as well, though, right? Like, and again, this is really just a case of me being like, well, he's like, this guy looks good, and this guy looks good, and this guy looks good. Like, lots and lots and lots of compliments to everyone, right? But I think that fourth line looked the best that it has. I thought Chinakhov had a great game. And I think that Everson liked Chinakov's game as well, because I noticed him on the ice like late in the game. And usually what happens is they don't put him on the ice late in the game. Like his ice time was, I had it and then lost it. So he only played 852, but I do believe that's a season high for him, which is not like lots. But I thought that line of Lundestrom, Aston Reese, and Chinikov was the most effective it's been basically all season, which again is great news, right? Like if your fourth line is clicking, I'm not asking for them to create a lot. I'm just asking for them not to give up the ice every time they step on it, and they didn't do that. Again, they didn't create a lot, but they didn't give anything up either, which is great news. So like again, my review of this game is mostly just everyone was great. 2 thumbs up, 10 out of 10. Let's do it again on, I want to say Thursday or Friday is their next game against the Capitals, which I'm sure will be fun and not annoying to play against the Capitals at all. But hey, I'm going to enjoy this win against the Dallas Stars because I always enjoy a win against the Dallas Stars, right? We're going to take one more quick break, and then I'm going to dive into the comment section. I've seen the number ticking up as I talk, and I am really excited to see what's in there. So we'll do that in just a second here on Locked On Blue Jackets. First, I'm going to tell you about FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. Just pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you're going to get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. There's a million different ways to play on FanDuel, right? Like you can build normal parlays, you can build the insane parlays that I do, which is like, well, this guy's going to get 3 shots on goal, and this guy in a different game is going to win 12 faceoffs, and this guy's going to make 45 saves. And if all 3 of those things come true, you win $1 bajillion. You don't have to do that. You can, but you don't have to. They've also got, again, normal parlays. You can do player props. You can even follow live during games. So if you think a comeback is on the way, you can put a little bit of money on it, and it makes it more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action, right? So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com, download the FanDuel app today, and get started. Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jackets. Let's talk about, well, let's dive into the chat section and see what's going on in there. Let's talk about the second period from Andy Maines. Great game. That second period, what happened there? I think it's just that they pushed really hard in the first period, and I think it maybe took the Dallas Stars a little bit by surprise, and they got yelled at in the intermission, is my guess. Also, the Blue Jackets are a little bit cursed, and their second periods are always a little bit like this. But they weathered the storm. I didn't think they were going to. I got really, really nervous with about 15 seconds left in the period. There was a lot of kind of kerfuffle around Elvis. And I know that I said that I wanted more from Cole Sterlinger, but I do think he gets some credit there for there's a lot of scuffle going on, and the puck just kind of pops out, and he's like, well, I'm just going to take this. I'm just going to skate it away and run the clock out. So, like, again, great. I criticized Cole Sterlinger in this game, but that was a really smart move from him. Didn't fire the puck down the ice for an icing or anything. Was just like, I'm going to just skate this into the corner, I think. So shout out to Sterlinger on that. I do think that the second periods are the most stressful periods, and I don't know whether it's that this team just likes to stress me out or what, but it is what it is. Great game by the Jackets from Josh Martindale. Both the power play and the PK showed up. You love to see it. At least one of the Jackets finally proved that an empty net goal is possible. Thank you to Kent Johnson. That can't be the first empty net goal of the season. No, Boone Jenner had one against Minnesota. That might be our second empty net goal of the season, because I don't know what it is. I don't know why this team sees that there's no goalie in the net and is immediately like, oh no, I don't know what to do anymore. Maybe I'm just traumatized from the outdoor game where they like missed the empty net twice in like 4 seconds. Well, who was it? Jenner and then Werenski before Fantilli finally put it away, I think. Like maybe I'm just a little bit traumatized from that, but I feel like anytime they're trying to score on the empty net, they should have the Benny Hill music playing. Maybe that's just me. Sticks and Tape says Damon Severson, another outstanding game according to Hockey Stat Cards. Yep, he was, according to Natural Stat Trick, was the best player on the ice for the Blue Jackets. Wild. I don't understand his game. He is a fascinating player. I think when I have a little bit more time, I really want to dive into Damon Severson's kind of underlying stats this season, because he makes no sense to me. Did have a Severson moment, made up for it, but oof from Z-Man Jace. he just does that at this point. If he's going to play this well, and I think Sticks and Tape says he can have a moment here or there if he continues to make up for it. Like, I agree. If he's going to play like that, then I will allow that. In the same way that, like, I don't love it when Elvis goes on adventures. He had a couple of adventures in this game, but if he's going to make the saves and if he's going to play well, like, I will allow him not too many adventures, but he can have like one, maybe two a game, right? But overall, again, shocked by how good Damon Severson has been to start this season. And I don't know if he has, like, I don't know if he took it really personally that he got benched for the end of last season and he, like, has been stewing on it all summer or what. But, like, if that was his kind of come to Jesus moment, then these 6 games have been, like, the best I've seen from Damon Severson since he came to Columbus, which is kind of fun, right? Andy Maines, the last couple of games have been fun. Don't know if I can trust this team yet. I keep going back and forth from cup or bust to time to talk the draft prospect. The fun thing is it's a long season and we can kind of do both, right? Like, and I understand I'm also the same of, like, after the Avalanche game where they were just miserably bad, I was ready to throw in the season. Maybe not quite the whole season, but I was like, if they play like this, like, they're playing well and losing games, then they can't play badly because they're also going to lose games, right? Back-to-back great games against the Lightning and the Stars, I think, has earned them a lot of goodwill in my book. But here's the thing. The Blue Jackets last season were terrible on the road and they weren't great in their own division either, right? Like, they lost a lot of games in their own division and also in their own conference, right? Like, they lost games to Montreal, they lost games to Florida, they lost games to Boston, and I think they lost a game to Buffalo, and, you know, they lost games to Pittsburgh and Washington and Philadelphia, et cetera, right? These are the games that they need to win to make up ground in the playoff race, you know? An out of division, out of conference win against the Stars is great, but I'm going to need them to do it again. They've got Pittsburgh coming up. They've got Washington coming up. Like, you gotta win those games as well, right? Like, an away game in the West is a fun win, but you got to win games against your own division at home as well. So, like I said, I'm not ready to go cop or bust, but I'm also not ready to write the entire season off. And again, I think the last 2 games have given this team a lot of leeway in terms of, if they play badly, then I'm like, well, we know they can play well, right? Whereas a couple of seasons ago, if they played badly, I was like, this is just what the team is. It is what it is. It's stupid. But yeah, like Andy says, especially teams playing like they did tonight, this team could go far. Dan Good says the team has gained its confidence. Like, yeah, this was a really, really good sign of a game, because there's a world where they lose this game embarrassingly, right? And they didn't. They were great. Dan also says Christensen played a great game. I agree. I wish Dean Evason liked him more. He played not a ton in this game, whereas he played 12:06, which is more than he's played previously. Still, I believe the lowest of any defenseman by a fair margin, but I think he's building his confidence. It's going to be interesting to see what the lineup looks like when Gudbranson comes back and also when Miles Wood comes back. And I think when I was scrolling through the comments, I saw one about Miles Wood or Gudbranson. So we'll talk about that in a second, I'm sure. I agree. Chinakhov had some good looks from Zeman Jace, excuse me. I would love to see him get more ice time because of this. Like, he almost had a couple of goals, and that play on the Matejchuk goal was fantastic, I thought. A little bit of goalie talk. Andy Maines, so are they going to go every other game swapping goalies, or does Elvis play the Caps on Thursday? And then Dan says that Elvis has earned the next game. I do think that it's in their best interest to keep the rotation going, because Elvis has played very well, and Elvis played really well in this game, but Jet hasn't played badly at all, right? Like, Jet is still rocking like a 930 save percentage or something stupid. He played really, really well against the Caps in the 2 games at the end of last season. Now, I know that the Caps had kind of checked out at that point, but a win's a win, a shutout's a shutout, right? And that word, jinxes aren't real, so I'm allowed to say that word. I would start Jet. I think it's gonna keep swapping until someone has a bad game, and it's gonna happen, because I talked about this yesterday. I think, like, these goalies are not gonna have a collective 925 save percentage or whatever it is for the rest of the season. It would be incredible if they did, but they're not going to. Someone's gonna falter. Someone's gonna have a bad game, and I think that's when we're gonna start to see, okay, well, the hot hand gets to play. And again, quite frankly, I think that this is the best situation for both of them. This is Jet's first full season as an NHL goalie. I know he played a billion minutes in Cleveland, but it really is kind of a different animal. And I think Elvis genuinely, I was going to talk about this last episode and I ran out of time, I think, but like Elvis genuinely, I think, plays better when he is well rested and when he is not playing every game. So while I think Elvis has definitely earned the right to maybe play another game, I am fully for the continued swip swapping of goalies, I think. Until someone falters, keep riding the tandem, because if one of them gets hot, then that's fine. If one of them gets cold, then you can deal with it at the time, right? NFT Forest says Coyle was a great addition. Sillinger just looked sharp. Chinny looked good too. This team is loaded. Fully agree. Again, if that third line starts scoring, and I think that it should, because I think that, again, Olivier's got goals in him. We've seen Sillinger have flashes of offense. I think Coyle's got goals in him. Like that line should score. You know, we should ideally get maybe 25 goals out of that line. Would be great. They just have to, and it feels like they're pushing, right? And again, if this team has 3 scoring lines, then that's really, really great news. Brock Morrison says the chemistry between Jenna, Fantilli, and Johnson really shined during Adams' goal. The second line needs to be a lock. Fully agree. Love that line. I love the top line. You know, I love the Monahanov line, but that Jenna, Fantilli, Johnson line, since they've put them together, has been phenomenal. That's been their best line the past 2 games, which is great to see. Like that's one of the lines that you want to be the best, right? Like you want Fantilli to be a star. You want Ken Johnson to be a star. Jenna is the third dude on that line, but he's a really good third dude on a line, right? One of these differences the last 2 games in Columbus has played the puck. They finished their checks. They played physical. I agree. I don't necessarily buy into that you need to play physical to win, because typically if you're throwing a lot of hits, you don't have the puck, right? So if you have the puck a lot, then you don't need to hit. But there have been some big boy plays in the last couple of games, which has been really, really fun to watch. I'm going to wrap up in a second here, so if you have questions or anything, throw them in now. David Nunley says the third line should score. Sillinger makes a lot of mistakes. All of them give up ticky-tack penalties. I agree. I would say that I don't necessarily think that Coyle gives up ticky-tack penalties. He's the best. He's the most responsible guy on that line, I think. We know my thoughts on fighting. Olivier is good at picking his moments generally, I think. But I agree. If that line starts scoring and stops making stupid mistakes, then again, this team is in a really good place. I think that's it for today. So there's not going to be an episode tomorrow. I'll upload the audio for this to go out tomorrow morning. So we will be back with you on Thursday morning, where we will talk about the Washington Capitals, I believe, unless that's the wrong game, which is entirely likely. But thank you for coming to hang out in this live show. Thank you for making it maybe not your first listen of the day, but your last listen of the day, maybe. I've been Jay Foster. You can find me on Blue Sky at JAKOBFORSTER. You can find the show at LO_Blue Jackets on Twitter. Thank you for listening. We're available on all podcast platforms. We're available over on YouTube. And this has been a fun start to the season, guys. Right? Let's keep this going. Like I said, I'll be back Thursday morning with another episode. But until then, make sure you stay locked on.